Good nutrition for children during the first 1,000 days of life lays the foundation for a healthy and vibrant future. At this stage, the brain development process can be accelerated or hampered based on access to key nutrients. The lack of these nutrients could lead to stunting, affecting a child's mental health and physical development, while wasting weakens the immune system, making children more susceptible to illness. In response to these critical needs, Save the Children in partnership with UNICEF and the World Food Programme supported the government of Kenya to launch the Universal Child Benefit Project to generate lessons for the introduction of a long-term UCB and to strengthen advocacy efforts and visibility for the UCB program.
Why the project was started, from the design, it was to cushion caregivers with children below the age of 0 to 3 years from the shocks of COVID-19. The project came in with 3 components with a complement of cash transfer. The 3 components were nutrition counseling, positive parenting, and disability inclusion.
In Embu County, there are challenges of food security, also challenges of malnutrition in terms of diet diversity. People are not able to get enough of what is required. Another challenge that we face is the inadequate knowledge on how to mix the foods.
So we have different challenges, majorly about the diet and also the poverty. We are not able to achieve the diverse diet. We are not talking of 10 food groups, but you find in a household, we are not even able to get 2 or 3 maximum.
Hapo mbeleni ulikuwa unapata kama ni watoto, unapea tu chakula mbora washibe. Hata ushughuliki umempea nini wala nini.
Tulikuwa tunajua kwamba mtoto ukimpea uji, ni mpaka jioni ni uji tu. But wakati tulienda training, tuliambiwa kwamba kuna types of food mtoto anafaa kupata na kuna venye mtoto anafaa kuzipata.
This 12-month initiative was implemented in 3 counties and aimed to reach 8,300 children with a monthly stipend of 800 shillings. The areas that benefited included Kajiado Central, Kajiado County, reaching 2,352 children, Mbeere North, Embu County, reaching 2,592 children, and Nyando in Kisumu County, reaching 2,505 children.
UCB project was being piloted in Nyando sub-county. Ahero ward had an increase of stunting rate. We trained the 90 CHPs, 6 chairs, and we had 3 health facility in charges. There was some other mother support groups which were taken through BFCI, that's Baby Friendly Community Initiative.
It is an initiative that promotes, protects and supports breastfeeding, complementary feeding, and optimal maternal nutrition.
What necessitated nutrition education and counseling in these counties was there's a knowledge gap existing with the mothers on how to feed their children. At times you find in these counties the food is available, but they're unable to have the knowledge on how to diversify the child's diet, and other important, for example, health clinics, that the child needs to continue with the health clinics until the age of 5 years.
A remarkable 91% of beneficiaries successfully received their UCB cash transfers, directly influencing their livelihoods and well-being.
Nilikuwa one of the beneficiaries. Nilikuwa na mtoto ambaye ana disability, cerebral palsy. Na hiyo pesa ilisaidia, at least unapeleka mtoto therapy. Like hapa IC wanalipisha 200 per child per session. So ukipata hiyo 800 in a month ni kama umempeleka 4 sessions. Ukisema hii ni ya therapy peke yake. Kwa hivyo mzazi hana hiyo pesa, hataweza kupeleka huyo mtoto for that sessions kwa sababu hana hiyo uwezo. So ilisaidia.
Mimi venye ilikunja hiyo pesa, kitu ya kwanza nilifanya, nilidecide ninunue kuku. Sikakuwa mingi, I was able even to buy mbuzi. So unaona, naweza enda nichukue mayai nipikie watoto, ninunue tu greens, changanya na hiyo mayai na naendelea tu na maisha.
UCB program taught us
nutritional value, how we needed to balance these food groups. We were even taught proper diet of a child should contain 7 meals. If we cannot afford those, we have to try and give only 5.
Kabla ya mradi kuja, mara mingi ulikuwa unapata watoto wanagonjeka na ni kwa sababu haukuwa na hiyo knowledge ya kwamba maternal nutrition kabla mtu hata hujajifungua inafaa mama ukule mara kadhaa. Alafu pia tukapata knowledge ya kwamba mama ukijifungua unafaa kumnyonyesha mtoto miezi 6 bila kumpa chochote. Na pia jinsi ya kushika mtoto kumnyonyesha. Unajua wakati mingi tulikuwa mama ajui hata kumnyonyesha mtoto, hata hiyo humshika tu mtoto ilikuwa changamoto.
Tuliambiwa ukianza kupea mtoto anything before 6 months itamsumbua. So I avoided that. Nikampea hiyo alafu nikaanza polepole maji pia nikaweka after hiyo 6 months nikaona kama grow vizuri.
The bit of positive parenting was also to sensitize caregivers on how they are bringing up their children, just to care, which is very critical when you're raising your child, and just increasing that bond between a caregiver and their child.
Tuliambiwa watoto ni vizuri kuwalea kwa njia mzuri, tukiwaonyesha upendo. Hata wakati mtoto amekosea, hata kama tuna discipline, tusikue wakali sana. We be friendly to them.
I used to be harsh. Even my first daughter used to fear me. When I reduced this kind of harshness, the bond started becoming closer.
Lakini tumeona hii mradi tangu kuje, tumeona mzee amebadilika. Wakati mwingine hata yeye mwenyewe anakuja ananisaidia kushika mtoto. Tukajua kwamba ni muhimu sana mnapocheza hata na mtoto wako, ambaye kwa Wamasai ni ngumu lakini imetusaidia.
Mingi unajua sasa culture ya Masai. Nakwambia ilikuwa storia pengine uone mama na mzee akiandamana ikiwa anaenda clinic. Maybe mzee ako 1 kilometer ahead, mama afuate nyuma. Lakini saa hii please kama ni clinic wataenda, kama ni soko wataenda. Hata mimi saa hii kuna mtoto mdogo. Lakini niko na time yangu pia na mtoto wangu mdogo.
We also have the knowledge of good nurturing to the disability. We don't discriminate them.
Children with disability, they face so many challenges. So with the support of the UCB project, we have been able to identify children who have been hidden at home, and we've been able to bring them to the health facilities so that they can get the normal services like immunizations, occupational therapy services, physiotherapy, so that the problem they get because of disability is minimized.
Based on my experience, mwenye akona mtoto akona disability, pendeni kama hao wengine and you take care of them, msiwafiche. Hao watoto wanafaa kuongeleshwa, ukimpeleka nje na aone watoto anacheza, anachangamka, ndio pia wao waone wanapendwa.
The issue of the kitchen gardening also came up very well when they realized the importance of the vegetables, and they realized they can be able to make it even have a small garden at home. It really peaked, although we have a very big challenge of water in this area. So I would say the impact was big as it comes to dietary diversity and the other indicators.
Unapata sasa wamama hata hawana hiyo nini ya kuenda kwa soko kununua greens. Tulikuwa tunakuja huku tunatengeneza kitchen garden, tunaenda kwao tunatengeneza. Tukaunda hizo vikundi, tulikuwa na table banking, tulikuwa tunachukua tunarudisha next week. Wengi waliweza hata wao kununua kuku. Sikawasaidia. Hata sasa nikienda kwao naona kwa kweli mradi ilisaidia.
After saving for sometimes nikaomba pesa, at least nikanunua chara nyingine. Sasa naweza sema hata hapa nyumbani nikiwa naweza shonea mtu nguo akiniletea. So siwezi kosa ya kupea mtoto.
Through the knowledge I gained from UCB, I've been able to start an ECD center. And I'm running lunch program. Our community has benefited a lot from this. I'm able to influence them to come and know what we are doing there at school.
The transformation in the community has been so much great. You meet caregivers who now, apart from just having that knowledge, they are able even to now sensitize their fellow women from the community.
We came to realize that a lot had improved. By the time we were starting the exclusive breastfeeding, all the indicators were less than 50%. And by the time we were going on, we went even up to 90%.
There was a reduction, drastic reduction in malnutrition. The rate of stunting during the baseline study, it was at 40, but it reduced drastically up to 21.
We've seen a reduction in even wasting, stunting, and also a rise in exclusive breastfeeding.
Nutrition challenges are a lot, and the funding for nutrition activities is not forthcoming, and especially in our counties. But you realize that through such a program, you are able to reach even the people on the ground. You are able to prevent malnutrition before it becomes severe. We are able to
Radisson Blu Nairobi Upper Hill Safety and Security Brief. We are currently at Mount Elgon Meeting Room, which is located at the first floor of the hotel. All our rooms and corridors have been installed with smoke and heat detectors, manual call points and sprinklers to arrest any fire. We also have trained fire marshals and first aiders who can assist accordingly. In case of an evacuation, the order will be issued through our overhead public address system marked fire, where guests are required to do as follows. Once outside this room, you are advised to head right through the corridor, which will lead you to the Elgon Terrace. The terrace will lead you to a staircase that will take you to ground floor through Humidor Terrace towards the swimming pool. Upon arrival, you will find a fire emergency exit with a push bar which you will access. The fire emergency exit will lead you through a staircase to our fire assembly point. Our fire assembly point is located at the hotel garden, which is at the rear side of the hotel. Please take care of your personal items like handbags, laptops, mobile phones, and cameras, and do not leave them unattended. Our rooms are non-smoking, but one can smoke in our designated areas at first floor terrace, outside ground floor restaurant terraces, and outside the lobby. The hotel has been awarded the Safe Hotel Executive Award, which is the highest award by Global Standard Security Certification. Thank you and have a productive meeting.
know Madam Jacinta will be coming to give remarks, and in the process she'll be able to still acknowledge most of our partners who are here in the room, so that after that we are able to get into the real conversation. So if you don't, if you allow me, I would want to quickly pass the microphone from this side so that you can just tell us who you are. In a half a minute is generous, isn't it? So, wacha wewe mtu wangu wa mkono. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Sandra Msoga. I'm from Save the Children. I'm head of advocacy and campaigns. Karibuni sana.
Asante sana. A hand will do. A hand, just one hand. It's good.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Solomon Mungu from the National Social Protection Secretariat, and I'm happy to be here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shaban Anai from the National Social Protection Secretariat, and I'm also happy to be in this lunch.
A hand will do.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Theory Masi from Save the Children.
these are very, very important. It was through the female caregivers, this one I didn't mention. Male caregivers were left out, so that was a challenge. The second one is the border town counties like Kajiado, and maybe I have to say that is why we needed to even put residence for 12 months, because with the children from one sub-county to the other you cross. So that one was also a challenge. Actually, when we went to Nyando, we were told that some people registered there who are not residents. Because this, let me say for town places, the towns, rural areas, each other. Hapa ni kwa fulani, hapa ni kwa fulani. She got a baby easy. But in the town centers, it's not easy. So somebody can easily come from the other side, or to see there's a program on a register, then they disappear. Then the other thing that was a problem also, registration documents such as birth certificates. That was also a bit of an issue. We worked with the registration people, Save the Children, to make sure that they get the certificates for registration, which was necessary. And we really must thank our partners, because the mothers were really put on their toes. This is just to tell you that as we are doing the UCB, there are some misconceptions about UCB in Kenya. I don't know if some of you are having this in your mind. Look at them. As we were doing the program and presenting all over, we were being told, hakuna pesa. That was number one. Then, where were we that we were told that too much free stuff for children? Tumewapea free education, free health care, tena mnakula ati free money. So those were misconceptions. So like that one, then some people are also saying that targeting is better. We don't need universality. Then great dependency, mixed. So these are just things that people are also working on. The other one, that number one, do you think it is a misconception or it is true? Let's go there. Poor behavior, not low, will encourage higher fertility. At one time we were even told that in a country like South Africa they had to do a research after UCB was introduced. Was it encouraging fertility? No, it wasn't. When do you get more children to get more stuff? So these were misconceptions, and I hope even us here we are not having them in mind. Then we were also told parents will misuse money, that conflicting messages. So that should go to the last. That is the last one. Now, that is how UCB pilot was done in Kenya. So I hope we now have some idea on what UCB is about. Is that okay? So I end my case there. Thank you.
Okay, now we can organize our club. That was the instinctual club, the one that comes without organization. So now we can organize our club Slap or clap? Clap, okay, I'm correctly put in perspective. Now,
I wait for the clap.
you wait for the clap because it's better to do it yours. So, we will pick, we remember what they pick, and those people who come from where my director comes from, they know which colors they pick first. Okay, let's begin to pick quickly. There is no time. Pick. The yellow ones, the blue ones, the red, okay, ongelea. Hawa funga pamoja, umpe. Unavunja sawa. You are breaking the floor. People have broken the floor. Okay, thank you so much, madam. That is very clear. So for us who have not been very up to date with the issue of UCB, this is the journey of travel. Those are the reasons why we are here, and you can see why are we doing the UCB. I think even if you are to lose anything, one of the key things that even if somebody got you out of this door and asked you that event that you attended called Universal Child Benefit, the launch of that particular report, what is it all about and why are we doing that? I can tell you for free that investing in our children is the future of our nation, is the future of this world, not only our nation but even the world as a whole. So this is a very critical conversation, a very critical event, and I don't want to preempt many things, but I want just to assure you and tell you that please, investing social protection for our children is an imperative. We are late, we are really late, and we should have done this like almost 30 years ago for us to be able to realize the meaningful inclusive growth and development which we aspire, even according to our vision. So thank you so much, and allow me, before I bring our director, Madam Jane, just want to emphasize, we just want to bolster this. You know, there are skeptics. You know, even when Tom follow Christianity, I take note of other religions, but at one point, even when he was already a disciple, he still doubted, isn't it? Until he had to be sure that this thing is real and it's working. This is Christ. So we want to play a small video clip just to put clear the evidence and the reality of a universal child benefit. So that from the pilot, as you've heard Madam Jane mention, we've done a pilot here which we did for 1 year in the counties of mentioned of Kisumu, Kajiado and Embu, and the results that we have obtained from there. And these are the building blocks. These are what we're using. These are the tools at hand to convince our policymakers and be able to say, yes, this thing works. And these are the results, whether on health and nutrition, we have Madam here, whether on education, enrollment, retention, transition, whatever you want to call it. If the video is ready, I'll be a happy man. If it is not, then I'll jump that session. Okay, that means I jump. You know, some of us are not good in sign language. Okay, so we keep it rolling. That is the signal I've received. We keep rolling. So even as we proceed, colleagues and fellow diehards of social protection, we really want to appreciate that as a country. I know many reports have been done. When we started this journey, as Madam Jacinta has told you, we even did a cost-benefit analysis. Of course, we started with a feasibility study just to see whether, as a country, we can be able to afford and be able to find, space for doing this. And after that, we
assured us that things are going to change, and indeed we could say that there are changes that have been made. And we recognize that, of course, there is now a huge improvement based on the data we provide, a huge improvement in terms of the number of people that have been reached now. I think we are at 1.7 million now, and I think that's a positive way that we want to make sure that everybody is included. But of course, we really have seen a number of issues, challenges that need us to work together to make sure that's attained. But I want to draw very closely to the pyramid on this other side, which is really very, very important. So we recognize that Kenya youth for demographic indeed is quite big, and it's growing very huge on day by day. And I think it's important for us to ensure that if we want to have a productive society in the future, then child-centered social protection is really critical to achieve that. If you look on the pyramid, for example, you could see the different age brackets and in the proportion of male and female, and the different age brackets that you could be able to see. For example, you look from 0 to 4 years old, that number is quite huge. And you could see it from 5 to 9, all the way to 10 to 14 to below 19. That's a huge number. That means the largest majority of our population. So what does this mean? That means that without us investing in universal or in a child-sensitive social protection, and then we just give a very practical example. If you look, for example, in the current owner persons cash transfers, the government is struggling even to be able to provide that kind of money to those persons. And I think by virtue that those persons also they were not as productive as they were supposed to be from their young years, that means they didn't generate much income, and that means they also were not able to live a better life. So if you're not able to invest in young children now, we are likely to see that the same children will also become older and they won't be productive, and also they won't have an income. That means we will continue having that cycle of poverty all through. So for us, it is important that we be able to reduce that, you're going to call it the generational poverty within the current generation. So, and again, this what means is that if we are not able to also invest in this young generation, we're not able to see what we call being able to access some of the other social benefits, for example, education, health, things. So it's critical for us to be able to make sure that this number of children we are seeing that are really below the age of 19, which are the largest majority, if you don't invest in it, you can imagine what will happen. It will be worse than what is happening now. So what this actually means overall is that it's important for us to make sure that we think on how we can be able to enhance universal child benefits that are more child sensitive to ensure that all children can access these social benefits that can enable them grow in a good environment, and also be able to achieve the developmental milestones. The next slide. So, and I think all of us understand what child sensitive social protection means, and that sometimes I know all of us sometimes are aware of what social protection means, but sometimes when you bring the lens of a child into social protection, that's when you call it a child system. And for us, if we want to ensure that there is a child lens in social protection, then it's critical for us to be able to make sure that we have policies and programs that address some of these very specific vulnerabilities for children, for example, and which also includes poverty. More of a right-based approach, they use a more right-based approach, and also they recognize some of the long-term development benefits that comes along with investing in children. So, and I think this is really one of the key areas. As much as we do have the social protection policy now, which again, at one point or the other, we need to also make sure that we develop any studies around making sure that it's more child sensitive. And now we talked about universality in the policy, But I think it's critical for us to think around on how we can be able to make sure that the policy supports the social aspect, the child sensitivity aspect of the social protection. And I think one of the key things we did to be able to bring this home is that when we implemented the universal child benefit pilot, which is more of has a child lens, that's I think when we can say that we could be able to realize that child social protection. And I think we've seen some of the key benefits we've seen this morning through the video that we just seen. So, and I don't want to go through what happened because I think Madam Jacinta has gone through that. But I think what is really important for us here is that we did an evaluation of the pilot, which again was supported by the code for quite a number of persons here, including the SP as well. So what was came out is that if you invest one Kenya shilling, then you're able to have a return of almost double of the investment. So 2.58 Kenya shillings, you are likely to get that returns if you invest one Kenya shilling. So what that means is that the more you invest in children, you will see a double benefit in the future because now they will be able to live in a better environment, earn income that will support them and support their children, and again, you also be able to benefit within the ecosystem where they stay. For example, we do cash transfers to those children, you're able to improve the economy of those areas where they live. That means you're able to improve overall well-being of all the community. And again, I think all this, so for us to have that prosperous working age population that I just mentioned, is that when if we implement a child-sensitive social protection, I think we'll be able to see that children are able to access education. That means there's improved education attainment. That means we'll be having improved income for this generation. The children will be able to access health and nutrition and other services. We can be able to reduce mobility, mortality and morbidity. And again, we are able to make sure that children live in a safe and secure environment. That means we can be able to reduce any violence against children. But also, I think we don't implement this in isolation. We recognize that there are also other programs that have been implemented before. For example, in Zambia, and I think this case study that also, I think some of you will have the data and we can share this as well, that in Zambia there is the same interventions which also solve a an effective way on how you can support children by investing $1, you're able to reap 2.5 in return. So that is really huge margin. If you also sort of do the same here in Kenya. And I think we are aware of the program in South Africa, and again also in Malawi, but also that's did the same and able to see a lot of improvement. So overall, I think it's critical for us to make sure that we focus on working to have our children achieve some of these benefits, or achieve some of the best milestones in the future, and grow in a better environment. Next slide. So after saying all that, then we came down to now how can we be able to invest. So one of the key things we realized is a whole lot of discussions with the Department of Social Protection and other partners as well. So it's important for us to find ways on how we can improve the investments for children. So one of them was for us to find out and look at what are some of the various options we could come up with in terms of resource mobilization in Kenya, and then be able to fund some of these initiatives. So then hence we were able to contract Dennis Analytics
our success. Anything around it? Meanwhile, as they get us in order, I know some of our colleagues arrived as you are proceeding. They came after we came, they didn't come late. So, can I give them an opportunity to... Frank, John, who else can you hear us?
Good morning. I'm Franklin Mahulu from Directorate of Children's Services.
You're heading?
I'm not heading, but we are working on the nutrition improvement through cash and health education. And as Madam Jacinta had done her presentations, you could have seen somewhere like there's a concern that the department is also implementing EIP, niche and what. But what is important is that the USB is child protection sensitive, while niche is nutrition sensitive. And that's a good thing to really look at, because which is already in 5 counties, and we are going to 25 counties. But if we have the universal child benefit, the programs can complement each other and really drive the desires that we want for change of our children in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's appreciate that. Thank you so much, Frank, for the NICHE team, the Nutrition Sensitive Child Protection Intervention. Anybody have left behind? You came while you had already. That lady, was she there? Were you there when we started? You're going to have the pleasure of introducing yourself while we... Huh? We don't leave anybody behind, so you have no choice. Yeah, this is a social protection event. In social protection, we leave no one behind, even in introduction.
Hello. I'm Winnie Saha. I'm a journalist from Kenya News Agency.
Thank you so much. Oh, if we didn't talk to you, we would be cut off. That part would be cut off from the news. Eh? So, is he able to get us? I can hear you, but I'm not sure you can hear me. Now you can hear. You can hear the claps coming from the crowd. Thank you so much. Technology these days sometimes is tricky. It's such a pleasure to join everyone. Unfortunately, I'm joining virtually. And I think it's primarily because these kinds of exercises where analysis is done to figure out how to scale up these important programs are in demand in a lot of places. So yesterday we were engaging with the government of Iraq, who are looking at introducing similar benefits as part of their social protection reforms. So we carried out similar analysis, this fiscal space analysis approach there, and we engaged on a lot of the same issues that I suspect we're going to engage on today, because financing these programs becomes an imperative. I think the advocacy strategy has a couple of legs, as already outlined by previous speakers. On the one side, it's quite clear these benefits have, these programs have amazing benefits, high return on investment. What we've done in East and Southern Africa shows at least $2 are returned for each dollar that is invested. So the issue in terms of advocacy then becomes, how do you actually finance this? How do you make this a reality? And Enoch has spoken about
the rationale for the fiscal space analysis. I will cover a few areas. I'll try to be quick because it is complex, but we've prepared something that tries to summarize the essence of what we did and what the recommendations are, and hopefully we can engage on that. Having taken on board Enoch's presentation on why we did the work, I'll pick up from explaining how we actually conducted the study. So I am hoping that the slides that Enoch was sharing on the screen are still visible on your side. It's the same slides, so I can speak to the same slides to avoid us having technical issues. So we conducted this fiscal space analysis exercise using data from the IMF, data from the Ministry of Finance, and data from the Ministry of Social Protection. We also used a report that was used to make the case for UCB. I think that was presented earlier, because that provides the basis of the costing of these benefits. And so when we did that work, we had a solid foundation in terms of the design of these benefits because of that exercise and work that had been done by the other partners. The typical approach we use for these exercises, which is very similar to what we've done in other countries, Malawi, Somalia, Zambia, and now Kenya, but also Iraq, as we were presenting yesterday, is to construct what we call a financial programming framework from data agreed by the IMF, Ministry of Finance, and Ministry of Social Protection, and then we analyze historical expenditure on cash transfers. So we know then we project forward revenues and expenditures. We then compare costs and potential resources available to ascertain the annual financial or financing gap for UCB. When looking at financing options, we typically look at 4 areas. We look at efficiency savings, so where in the current set of programs is there potential for us to improve efficiencies and therefore save money, and then we allocate it to UCB. We also look at overseas development aid, which I will speak to a little bit later on, because the context has changed since we produced this report and did this analysis. So there's a lot more to say about how that will come into the picture in terms of financing UCB. In most places, domestic revenue mobilization, so how Kenya can accelerate its current strategies for raising revenue becomes very more about that. We also look at the 4th area, which is the potential for debt to be part of the solution in terms of financing these benefits. So I think that sort of highlights in terms of the approach and the data that we used. When looking at how to scale up these benefits, there were a couple of considerations that we had to make. The first one relates to the fact that you may want to roll out such a benefit in a way that prioritizes particular counties or areas. And in our analysis, the agreement we had, having engaged several stakeholders, was that perhaps we should model options or scenarios that focus on counties with the highest poverty rates, so Turkana, Mandera, Garissa, etc. Then we also had to make consideration of how the UCB interacts with existing benefits, such as the OUC. And we also had to make assumptions and considerations about how enhancing cash transfer systems and leveraging technology could also assist in terms of making not only these benefits affordable, but implementation much more efficient and easier. I will speak a bit about the 2 leading different scenarios that we based some of this analysis on. We engaged stakeholders from different quarters, including governments, to try and ascertain what kind of scenarios for the cost base, the program design, would be useful for us to investigate in terms of affordability and how to finance this scale up. I'll just summarize some of the key elements. So we had scenario 1A, which was really about scaling up UCB, focusing on children in the early stage of life. So we looked at those under 3 years old, and they'll be getting a benefit of 800 shillings per month. Then we had other scenarios, but I'm going to highlight this scenario 1A and scenario 1B, where the difference is only in terms of the value of the benefit. So in 1B, the value of the benefit is 1,000 shillings. So when you now look at the graph on the screen, I hope you can see two charts on the screen. One showing scenario 1A, so that's the 800 shillings per month benefits are going to all children under 3, and B, the benefit is now at 1,000 Kenyan shillings. You will see that the graphs there are illustrating a couple of things. Firstly, they're illustrating the baseline resources available for cash transfers that's emerging, projected forward to 2030. That's looks like a maroon color. Then they show the resource needs under scale-up scenario 1A. What you see in orange is the gap, so that's the financing gap that we need to close if we look at existing resource allocation possibilities. The same is shown on scenario B, and as you'd imagine, the shortfall in terms of financing for scenario B would be higher because we are offering higher benefits. But I think that just illustrates sort of the general trend that we had in terms of these financing gaps. In terms of the actual numbers, which you might not be able to read from the slide, you see that the financing gap increases up to 115 billion shillings under the scenario on the right. On the scenario on the left, the gap is about 11.8 billion in 2030. So I think these are just some of the figures that are worth noting. But if you move on to the next slide, where we now look at potential financing strategies, I think this is where I wanted to make the point I flagged earlier, which is that we typically look at 4 different strategies, as I indicated: domestic resource mobilization, ODA, efficiency savings, and debt. But each context is different, and so opportunities to raise financing for each of those options will vary depending on the context. But there's an overarching dynamic that we didn't anticipate in terms of its extent and shock, which has been a recent occurrence, which is the fact that we see the USA pulling back in terms of development assistance. But we've also seen recently the UK announcing that they will also pull back. Similar announcements have been made by other OECD countries, which is where a lot of development assistance comes from. So the question then becomes, whereas the report took a view that ODA could be leveraged quite significantly. So if you look at the chart on the right, it shows the proportion of this financing gap that we thought could be contributed by different sources. ODA is a gray box, which is quite significant. And so it's worth thinking about that in a world where ODA is shrinking and that space is going to be quite competitive in terms of where that money is allocated. It may not be as easy for Kenya to maintain the level of ODA, also because, as we highlight in the report, the country is transitioning from a low-income country to a middle-income country, which also doesn't make it a priority for ODA. So I think there's a bit of a change in terms of how we should look at this report given this recent information. But I think all of this means, and this is the discussion we've been having in Zambia and Malawi and other countries, that really looking at domestic resource mobilization strategies becomes important, as we do want to have countries owning these programs and not being reliant on ODA, which is now showing to be shrinking, but also showing that significant and sudden pulls or pullback of ODA is possible. So the emphasis is now doubly important on domestic revenue mobilization as the way in which we should be looking at financing UCB. There are other innovative financing options that I'll speak to that are also important, but I think domestic revenue mobilization is going to be key. And in our analysis, we try to look at Kenya's medium-term revenue strategy, which aims to raise the country's tax-to-GDP ratio from 13.5% to 20% by 2027. Key reforms outlined in that strategy include broadening the tax base. They also talk about VAT increases in the medium term and improving excise duties on products like alcohol and tobacco. Of course, this is again contested territory. We've also seen the reaction from society when some of these decisions on increasing taxes affect certain quotas in a way that equity concerns are raised. And so it's not going to be easy to negotiate some of these strategies, but it is imperative because of the fact that it is quite clear that things like ODA going forward are not going to be as easy to access. If these domestic revenue mobilization strategies are implemented, they could generate additional revenue of up to 127.9 billion by 2030, which will provide substantial fiscal space for UCB. In addition, rationalizing tax expenditures, which currently represent 2.94% of GDP, could free up further resources. This discussion on tax expenditures is one that other countries in East and Southern Africa are currently engaging in. But again, we highlight in the report that the recent social unrest over the finance bill and this medium-term revenue strategy makes this quite optimistic, but we think that it's certainly a key priority going forward. The other financing options, which do not provide immediate and direct funding, but should really be part of a more comprehensive approach to ensuring that Kenya finances these programs from its own resources, would be to tackle long-standing issues such as leakage and corruption. In the report, we highlight the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission report that indicates that the country lost up to $6 billion to corruption in 2016. And recent reports indicate an upward trend in some of this type of leakage. So accelerating those anti-corruption measures and tightening leakages within the public finance management system are going to be crucial, because that will free up resources not only for UCB but for expenditure in other social sectors. The point being that not doing these things comes at a massive cost. I think pointed out the fact that what is a demographic dividend and advantage now, where Kenya has predominantly young people comprising its population, is a huge advantage that can be taken and accelerated by these kinds of investments. But if these investments are not made, the scenario in which all these young people are now much older, with poor human development outcomes, with lack of agency, without having had employment, without being productive, one can just see how unstable that society will be in future, where we have all these people who will be reliant on the state at an even higher rate in terms of benefits and access to healthcare, etc., because they won't be able to pay for that on their own. The other area we looked at is combating illicit financial flows. This includes things like tax evasion, trade misinvoicing, so increasing financial transparency and enhancing the capacity of the revenue authority could recoup up to 119 Kenyan shillings, 119 billion shillings by 2030, which could contribute to UCB financing and financing of social sectors in general. I think the point about the corruption and the illicit financial flows is one that indicates areas where there's a lot of resourcing available, but there are a couple of challenges in tapping into that. Obviously, these are not difficult. These are difficult things to negotiate and achieve, especially not in the short term, but the importance of advocacy then becomes more apparent, because even if these strategies and approaches are implemented, there will still be a need for aggressive advocacy to make sure that any savings or resources are unlocked in that way actually end up financing UCB. So the work that the colleagues outlined in the morning is going to be really crucial going forward. We also looked at, but could not quantify really, other innovative financing mechanisms that could provide a path to financing social protection in Kenya. There are innovations around public-private partnerships, social impact bonds, green bonds, etc. But these are very nascent in their development. There is potential there, but there's still a lot of work, not only in Kenya, but in other countries, in terms of actually translating those to resources that finance these programs. So I think when one looks at this slide, the key message is that only box where we're looking at domestic revenue mobilization, that's where the resourcing for UCB are likely to be situated, and focus in terms of advocacy should really be on that. If we go to the next slide, this is just illustrating some of the points I've made in the earlier slide in terms of actually showing how these strategies could incrementally close that financing gap, strengthening efforts to reduce leakage. That's enhancing the capacity of the revenue authority, strengthening our public financial management systems to enforce accountability and optimize processes. All these efforts to reduce leakage will help not only with the scale-up of the UCB, but support to social sectors in general. We still have a recommendation around prioritizing securing ODA, but I think the context has shifted a bit, and this is still something that we recommend be done, but it will be much harder, and so that engagement has to be more robust. And we point out some of the things that will help in terms of making the argument stronger as stakeholders engage with development partners. There's room to explore innovative financing models, but this will require additional efforts into unpacking what mechanisms are feasible and sensible for Kenya's context. we are recommending, as we've done in other countries, establishment of specialized financing units within key ministries to look into these options, and creating multi-stakeholder platforms that look at how to tap into things like climate finance arrangements, etc. It's been very difficult globally to have these be a source of direct support to cash transfers, but as is happening in other countries, these kinds of engagements and technical work is going to be important going forward. The other recommendation that came from stakeholders as we were presenting this work relates to whether counties could be asked to finance the scale up, but this is something we included in the report, fully acknowledging how robust the engagements on this particular recommendation and point were, with stakeholders correctly raising the importance of being quite conscious of local needs as this option is explored. And it was also flagged that some of these approaches could have unintended consequences as a result of counties having different capacities to ensure regular payments, both in terms of cash flow management, affordability, but also the practical side of delivering cash. So I think on that note, I will end this presentation by saying that the exercise was really robust and we engaged a whole host of stakeholders, but it is a very complex exercise to try and unpack these issues and present financing options that are quick wins. In a lot of the contexts we've been working, it has been challenging to find such quick wins. You end up with financing options that present additional responsibilities in terms of additional engagement and discussions and agreement and covenants to take bold decisions. UCB is important and it really requires bold decisions going forward. None of these financing options are easy, but there are some that are more feasible than others. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Fidelis. Thank you for that powerful exposition of the report, and even for the rider that you have put there. Yes, the options are there. None is cheap. There are trade-offs, and it takes also serious advocacy to be able to influence these decisions. And as you've gone through the report, I know I'll be opening up for some quick inputs or just some points of clarification that our colleagues may want to put to you so that you can be able to bring them home quite clear. And just as you've said, for me, I think, yes, our feet are already there, and we're not asking ourselves whether we are going to do it. The question is, when are we going to do it, and which path are we going to use to be able to travel this journey? So I once again want to appreciate your team and also the team from Save the Children for producing this piece of work. We also appreciate the pieces of work, the experience that you have brought into this, working in different contexts, as you have highlighted, in different zones. And I think that one gives us an opportunity even to be able to compare and see how then should we be tweaking around certain points. So mine is to open it up. I know we can still remember. Very key is to see the findings, see the options that have been provided. Remember the parameters, because as you could see, Fidel is presenting for this case in Kenya, the options that we have explored just to see 0 to 3 years as a priority, and also in the terms of the transfer value, 800 per child per month, or another modeling with 1,000 shillings per month per child. And these are some of the considerations, but more so than that, because the focus of this conversation is to be able to see, yes, when we know that this is going to cost this much, what is the best way to be able to finance this? And Fidelis has taken us into some of the options that they have put forth and beginning with what they think is the most viable and most feasible, even to some of them that yes, even as we pick on our priority option, we can be able to see how can we flesh it up with others. So colleagues, I open it up to us because that is it, that is the report, that is not only the report, but what we want to do as a sector to be able to increase investment in children for the future of this country. So I've no any other way to begin it. The best way is for you to raise up your hand where you have a question or something to seek clarity on, and I'll simply move the mic to you so that you can have the benefit of the team giving us more refined answers to that. Can we first of all appreciate Fidelis for the work that he has done? And now we can do it now, what we call now we can organize it. Fidelis in Kenya, we say pima. Pima means you measure. Now, when you hear me say pima, I'm simply measuring the size of the clap, not the slap, the clap we are supposed to give you. Communication is getting me. So tunapima hapa, we pima from here. Where? Everybody pima, that is too big, Jacinta. We start from here. Everybody here, pima tena, generously. Can you stretch it further? Angusha. Can I confirm with Fidelis whether he has received that appreciation?
Received. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So colleagues, I just want to open it up very quickly for us. Time is not on our side, so that you can maybe just, if you have a perspective, a concern, a point that you want Fidelis to bring more clearly to your understanding, then this is it. This is the point. Anybody who wants to go first? Oh, Shaban. I can move the microphone to Shaban. It is here.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I also want to thank the presenter for taking us through a detailed report. And just a clarification, a quick one. I can really see a point in which a report could fairly show, or rather address, the potential trade-offs between increasing financial space, of course, for the universal child benefit, and the risk of diverting these resources from other essential services such as healthcare and education, in terms of the middle income of a middle income country, where constrained to resources. So does the report clearly, because it is just an overview, show all these things just to boost whatever that is given to the social protection sector in terms of the government budget is low as per the GDP? So does the resource allude to such things? The report, I mean. Thank you.
Thank you, Fidelis. You can break the ice with that first before I give it to the next one.
Thank you so much. So the report, in the way we have developed this methodology, assumes that spending in other social sectors as a proportion of GDP, or as a proportion of overall government spending, is not affected by the scale up of UCB. So we project that spending going forward in a way that then is assuming that these financing strategies will result in additional income that can be channeled to UCB. And I think one of the things I mentioned earlier that then becomes important is this advocacy that's required around UCB, because even if these financing strategies are successful allocation to UCB depends on the very kind of trade-offs and discussions that will be had between different social sectors and the Ministry of Finance and individuals looking at funding allocations. I think it's at that level that strong UCB advocacy will need to come in. But the direct answer to your question is that we do not take resources from other social sectors in the modeling that we do. Thanks.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Shaban, for that very important question on the possible trade-offs and how that would be affecting. Any other person, please? Okay, thank you, Purity.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Much appreciation. Though I've not interacted with the whole report from this research, but from the presentation, my wish would have been to see more data on the linkage part, because this was linked with several multisectoral aspects, that is health, nutrition, education, and WASH. Just to give a vis-a-vis between the investment for this shilling, what was the outcome or the impact when it comes to nutrition, health, or education? For instance, was there accessibility to food for this household? Did it improve? And did this improve the practices of nutrition now that it is being integrated with the nutrition education for both the household, for that child, for that household when it comes to their diet? I wish it came out, though I've not looked at the whole report. When it comes to health, did this increase the accessibility to health services now that they have the cash? Or did the morbidity rate decrease, that is the disease rate of those children decrease now that they're able to access, maybe go for immunization, go for those services at the health centers? When it comes to WASH, was there practices that changed from this integration with the cash program at the household level? This would have been a better place to advocate for more funding, since now it gives a broader aspect when it comes now to the linkages, and having in mind now that it's a full package. Not only you're giving cash, but the benefits are more than the cash that is being given. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Purity, for that. Is there anybody who has another one we can attach to that question? Okay, yes, Naomi. Let's take these two, then Fidelis, you can.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is one, in regards to data collection. I know during the presentation and also when Jacinta was beginning, she mentioned something about getting the data from KNBS. But my question is, I mean, when we are doing all this, when we are collecting the data from the county governments, do we maybe involve the county government offices, because we have established offices there? And just thinking, if you get the data from the census, if we were to implement the program now, I believe we can all agree that we can't rely on the data from the census from the previous year, because of course times have changed. So I'd like to know maybe whether we're involving the mashinani to get, the accurate data in the households.
Okay, thank you, Fidelis. I would want to request that you take those two first, so that in case there's anything that is coming forth that can be answered by that, we can be good. Over to you, please.
Thank you so much. Very, very important questions indeed. I think what I will say might not be satisfactory, because I might not be the right person to respond to these questions for a couple of reasons. Firstly, our work was just looking at financing strategies. As Enoch indicated, the aspect of how to fund UCB comes after an entire exercise conducted by Enoch and other colleagues to look at the investment case for UCB. And the questions that have been asked, primarily the first one, relates to elements that would be in the investment case for UCB. And I think a key reflection on this is probably a suggestion for how to use both the investment case and this report that we've produced so that when advocacy efforts are being held, the two are going together. They are two sides of the same coin. Investment case on the one side. The points about how the UCB can impact outcomes in other social sectors is one that is well made in the investment case, but not in the financial or financing aspect that we covered. So I'd encourage those two to be read in conjunction and advocacy to be done using both reports. In terms of data from the counties, again, I think that question relates more to when now looking at the practical side of these programs. What we did was make high-level assumptions based on the numbers that we were given at national level, which is sufficient for you to engage on an exercise that's focusing on how much will it cost and where do we find the money. But I think others in the room might be better placed to answer more specifically some of these questions. Firstly, the teams that have been working with the districts, but also if there's someone who worked on that investment case who can provide specifics about what some of those reflected in that report, what those are. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Fidelis. And of course, as Fidelis has said, would there be somebody who's willing to add the voice to, in terms of the investment case? Of course, the question raised by Madam Purity, very spot on. But of course, I allude here that we'd earlier on done a cost-benefit analysis, which should also go for the investment case and seeing how then would investing in different aspects of child-sensitive social protection would be able to. And I really appreciate the parameters that you have raised. And I think, as Fidelis has rightly said, it is important that we interrogate that, because in our advocacy and looking at how then do we influence policy to be able to support financing for this particular scheme, then that would be important just to say yes, because that is actually what triggered this engagement. I remember it was in Naivasha when we were looking at the cost benefits analysis and how then should we roll out a national scale UCB, and that one of our colleagues commented and said, yes, typically when we go to our financiers, the National Treasury particularly, and tell them, yes, we want to introduce this and we want you to fund. As I said in the beginning, the question is, where then do we get the money? So, but then we had said a number of benefits through that study and the returns on that particular investment, whether in terms of the nutritional outcomes, whether in terms of educational outcomes, or just the various health indicators that Madam Purity has indicated. So I think we should be able to interrogate that further. Madam Purity, we should be able to share that and just build a more refined case to see how does that one blend with this, even as we take that advocacy for financing. So I think for us, so some of us who might not be having that report, we should be able to share with you, and then we can see, we can sit together and see how then do we effectively advocate, how do we now revisit some of those cases, even in the face of what Fidelis has alluded to. So I think that should suffice for that. In terms of county engagements, of course, in terms of data sources, many times we say, yes, the authentic, credible source of data is the KNBS, because that is the authority that gives the data that we can be able to use, especially for national level or international projections. And what I know they do, I'm not an expert, I'm not a statistician to that level, but they micro-simulate. You can use that source of data to be able to simulate further around certain projections. Of course, I know there are also other data sources that we are also able to use. There are economic surveys, there are World Bank reports, which I appreciate the group was able to look into, because those are also credible sources of data that we admit. So I really appreciate that, and we'd be keen to interrogate and see how does this, especially in terms of the views. What I want to appreciate from Madam Naomi is in terms of the views, especially when we'll be going for the advocacy, how do we specifically target the institutions of the county government? You can see one of the recommendations is to have financing from the level of the county governments. How do we ensure that we have a very targeted approach to the county government and engaging with the respective institutions in a manner that is able to not only pass the due information, but also give them opportunity to give their input and views. So I think that is what I would say for now, but we can continue to engage. I still want to give opportunity. If there's anybody who wants to add an answer to that, then we can be clear with that. Yes. Can somebody afford me a smile? You people, have you stood here and looked at how we look at? Okay, now I'm assured. Enoch has told me that the people are willing to smile, so I'm okay. So colleagues, that is the report. I know we'll still be sharing and seeing into how then do we take it forward. As even Fidelis has said, one of the important things is that the report has clear recommendations, and the killer punch is to be able to see how do we advocate, how do we use this report together with what we had in the cost benefit and even the feasibility study to build clearly and be able to push forward in the areas that we have been indicated. So I don't want to take it further because we are still available. We can still engage both with the Secretariat and even with our team so that we can ventilate further on the report. But because of time, allow me to get us to the next session and just have a round of applause for every one of us for those particular insights. So thank you, colleagues. We want to get to the next step and be able to get some remarks from our partners. We want
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Fidelis. Thank you so much. Well, I almost forgot about you, but you are not leaving yet. Just stay on call, yeah, so that in case there's anything, we can be able to close it up together. So allow me, please, to again come to us. I want to appreciate the various partners and stakeholders who have come together with us here, that we can give them opportunity to give their remarks because we work very closely with them in the sector and we'll be able to finish in a short while. So with that, I would want to call upon our representative from FAO, Madam and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, just to say a word of hi, and then we'll have our colleague from WFP just say a word of hi as we continue the program. An appreciation in advance would do it. This table is not very generous. This table is, welcome, Madam Winnie. Welcome, please.
Good morning, everybody. All protocols respected. I want to say that, do I introduce myself again? No. But maybe I need to, for those who don't know me. I am called Winnie Mwasiaji. I'm a social protection specialist in FAO Kenya. I want to say that as FAO, we are very happy to be here, to be part of the launch of this report, because this report is very key in the development aspects. Taking care of our children is one of the most critical things that we need to do. And this can help in terms of making the future bright for the country. You leave the children out, you kill the future. So I know Jane always tells us that these children, we really must take care of them. And I like the passion at which she really goes through. So when you're talking of social protection and making sure that social protection has a sensitive lens to the children, I think that will help in terms of making our country more productive. Investing in the UCB will help us to meet the needs of the children at the right point. Why the right point? Because I'm told always by those who look after children, especially in nutrition and health, that you leave them out in the early days of life, then you are killing them. And therefore, we are going to have a future that is not very productive. So we are glad to see that Kenya has made an effort in terms of pushing this forward and making this a priority, which is very important, making it a priority like any other countries. Many countries are doing this, and Kenya has been ahead in most of the things to do with social protection. So to see that we are also moving with the others, I think that research has been done in the other countries, and we saw that, and we've seen the good changes, the outcome of being able to invest in these children at that particular age. It's quite good. For us, FAO, our entry point is normally on food systems approach. So we look at how do we enter with the food. And everywhere I go, I always tell people that when you are food hungry, you are really, really hungry. If you are vulnerable, that you are not able to eat, then you are really, really hungry. So we are looking at this and being an intervention that is being taken to improve nutrition even of the children at that particular age will also help enhance their being more attentive, being more productive, being more healthy, and therefore looking at a healthier country in the long run. For us, our objective is to look at better production, looking at better nutrition, and looking at better lives. When you have better nutrition, definitely you are looking at better lives. The report has a clear justification that UCB, looking at this along with other reports, it says how UCB can be very critical as a tool in terms of enhancing the capability of households. When you get the UCB, the household's capability improves. Capability to be able to get health services, capability to be able to get education, capability to be able to get better food, and therefore even looking at wholesome developmental aspect of that particular child. So I'd really like to thank the team that has really looked at what are the options that we are able to, how can we finance this particular program? How can we finance the UCB? So looking at the various options, and we are seeing as a country, where do we go? Where are the low-hanging fruits? Where can we get best the opportunity to be able to develop the children as a whole? So the report is quite good, and we are very happy with this. We know we look at where where they give food to the children in school. Children are so excited to go to school. They are so happy. They go to school because they know they will eat. They will even carry some for the children left behind at home. And you look at the children, even the concentration level becomes higher. So we are looking at brighter children and healthier children, and therefore a healthier nation in the long run. I want to say that this decision as a country is a very big milestone for us. It's a very big milestone in terms of even just the fact that we could allow ourselves to be able to look at the research, to see what it can do, to find what are the options. That's again is a very big milestone. And I want to say thank you to Jane and her team, because I think they've really worked hard with the other teams to be able to make sure this is happening. This is a golden opportunity for us as a country. And the decision to take care of our children is a very, very good decision that will help the country move forward. We as FAO, we are very happy to be part of this, and we are looking at how we can be able to also work together in terms of making sure that this becomes a reality. Even if you're coming, the issue of integration of the various programs, we can come in there and be able to see how we can work together to be able to move this forward. Thank you to the team that did this research and all of the findings, because this again is making informed decision as a country is very important. I think I saw Treasury here, which is very important. I think it's very good that they are here and you're moving together with them, because you leave them behind. Richard was asking us what is normally said when you go to ask for this funding, and this we know what is normally. And when they are here, they are showing that they are a part of this, and they are willing to look at the options and be able to see what are the options we move forward with as a country. Thank you very much, and we are looking forward to working on this together.
Let's prepare to give an organized clap. I said you measure, so we'll stick there. That is our, okay, again, expand to another level with 2 hands. Mine is, I can't hit the microphone, please. So when I do this, it is 2. Okay, the last one, Angusha. Thank you so much, FAO Kenya. It is my pleasure to welcome WFP, our partners also in the space who have been very active in championing matters social protection. Please welcome Madam Mary?
The Director, National Social Protection Secretariat, the Director, Save the Children, all partners present, all protocols observed. Good morning. My name is Mary Waweru from the World Food Program, and I want to send apology for our country director, who really wanted to be here today, but unfortunately was not able to come due to some conflicting engagement. On behalf of the World Food Program, I want to thank the State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizens Affairs for the great milestone that Kenya has made in the expansion of social protection coverage in Kenya. As today, we are happy to report about the 1.7 million households that are currently being supported through the social protection support assistance. This is a great milestone for our country. And as World Food Program, we remain committed to support the government in this journey. Today, as we witness the launch of the Fiscal Space Analysis report, we once again want to thank the State Department for Social Protection and Save the Children for this great work that has been done. As we look back to the pilot, the feasibility study that we supported, implementation of the pilot, and the good reports that we are getting from our beneficiaries, it gives us a lot of joy to see the impact of what we have been able to do through the ECB pilot. And it also gives us the hope that there's a lot that we can be able to achieve for the children in this country. The report that has been done, we want to thank you, all those that were involved, because it has given us very good evidence that you help us to advocate for increased financing, for social protection, for a child-sensitive social protection in this country. We know we have several safety net programs, like the National School Meals Program, which currently we are having 2.6 million children receiving meals every day, courtesy of our government. And as World Food Program, we are working together with the government to support this noble intervention for our children in Kenya. And as today we get the findings and the cost-benefit analysis of UCB, we want to thank Save the Children and the government for these findings. And as World Food Program, we want to emphasize our continued commitment in this journey so that we can ensure an expansion of this program, and as we progressively scale up UCB to target more children in Kenya, so that we can ensure that every child in Kenya has access to quality food and nutritious food at all times, as well as access to education. And I want to say that today, these investments that we are doing for our children, they may look very, very expensive. But I want to assure you, we are investing in our future, our children. So today, on behalf of World Food Program, I want to assure the Kenya government of our commitment to walk this journey with you, and we call upon all partners to support the government in this journey so that we can improve the future of our nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Mary. We can do a better one now, what we call the organized clap. The organized clap. At a count of 3, sasa unaangusha moja mzito. At a count of how many? 3 is like this. Then you give a huge heavy one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, let us give it. Did somebody remain behind? Remember in social protection we say, no one remains behind. Leave no one behind, even when we appreciate one another. Please kindly, we appreciate. It is my pleasure at this moment to invite the country director, Save the Children International, the ones who have supported us, together with our partners, leading us in this piece of work, the critical work that we'll need to change the future and the prosperity of this nation in terms of financing. We can appreciate Madam Jeep, even as she comes. That is the one I was. Thank you so much, and welcome, please.
I need to check the time to say good morning or not, but good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here. My name is Jip, and I feel appealed to actually spell out and pronounce all my names, just so that it will bring some of you out of the curiosity. My name is Jip Ponpan Rabintosapon. I'm from Bangkok, Thailand, so I can tell you that from where I come from, my names are not the long ones, just so you can be prepared. But thank you, everyone. And protocols of serve, I would like to, of course, address our chief guest here, Madame Jane Muyanga, the Director of the State Department for Social Protection, and all the other representatives from the National Social Protection Secretariat. Thank you so much for honoring us to be here with your presence today. Also would like to welcome Ms. Jane Ogoti, Director of the Directorate of Children's Services, for being our long-standing partner to the journey beyond just a UCB and a physical space, but all the work that we've been doing with and for our children. And of course, representative from the Department of Nutrition and Diabetes, and also the Ministry of Health, representative from the National Treasury and the Council of Governors, representatives from our very dear collaborative partners, UNICEF, WFP, FAO, and the Social Protection Forum, our county representatives, of course, from Kajiado, Kisumu, Embu, our esteemed partners, representatives from all the civil society organizations presented today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again for honoring us with your presence and participation in this event of the launch of the Fiscal Space Analysis report today with us here. So on behalf of Save the Children Kenya, it is my pleasure to receive and also to host you at this very, very important event at the launch of the Fiscal Space Analysis report. In recent years, the government of Kenya has made considerable investments in social protection programs, with also a lot of significant focus on programs aimed at children. So flagship programs such as the Inua Jamii programs that also include the cash transfer for orphans and vulnerable children, and also the older persons cash transfer, have really expanded the social assistance to Kenya's vulnerable populations. And we truly appreciate all the considerable efforts they've been putting in. In this regard, the government of Kenya also has recognized the social protection as key tenet to the development agenda, which we also warmly welcome. And it is also in a very close compliance to the SDG target 1.3. That is calls on the member state to actually implement nationally appropriate social protection systems and measures for all, including social protection floor, and also by 2030 achieves essential coverage to the poor and the vulnerable. And we, of course, cannot exclude children and older people in these groups of the populations. So while Kenya has made significant gains in extending the reach and also extending the increase of the investment on social protection coverage, we still see that these coverage still remain low, and there are still areas that we can do together collectively to help improving that. So having said that, only 11.8% of children in Kenya currently receive social protection benefits. Social protection spending in Kenya remain relatively low at the average of 0.4% of the GDP. And considerably, when we compare that to our peers in the region, in the sub-Saharan African countries, an average of 2.1% of the GDP are being actually spent on social protection programs. And we would like to welcome this opportunity to also encourage the public spendings on social protection to be increased to meet also with our peers in the region. In this year of 2020 and 2021, Save the Children Kenya, in collaboration with the State Department of Social Protection and a partnership with UNICEF and the World Food Programme, implemented a project that is called Universal Child Benefits, the theme of what we're talking about today. The project was implemented as a 12-month pilot project aimed at cushioning the children and their family from the grim reality of pandemics, food insecurities, economic meltdown, the adverse climate change, and also man-made and natural disasters. The pilot project was actually very successful and also proven that the UCB model was the best ones in ensuring child-sensitive social protection based on the following findings. So first is that the UCB best captured the concept of universality and eliminate the problems of targeting. It is well-known fact that while effective social assistance programs should be designed to cushion a large proportion of children who may be disadvantaged, in need, and also in hard-to-reach areas, the poverty targeting sometimes excludes the majority of otherwise deserving children. And this also being tackled by the UCB model and the universality principle of it. The pilot project, which target 8,300 children, established that one of the key benefits of UCB was its application of the universality principle, that it covers all children aged 0 to 36 months in the piloting counties of Embu, Kisumu, and Kajiado, irrespective of socio-economic status. The cost-benefit analysis of UCB that was undertaken in 2021 also showed the potential impact of UCB on economic size as well. It is found that the benefits significantly outweigh the costs. For every 1 Kenya shilling that we invested in the UCB and the program, 2.58 Kenya shillings are likely to be returned. Thus, UCB as a model can actually contribute to poverty reduction and also can be considered as a local economic multiplier. The UCB mechanism was also very unique in its application of cash plus approach that is integrated nutritional counseling, positive parenting, and also disability inclusion. Based on these and also other successes that we have seen, the UCB model at the end of the project evaluation, it's also recommended that the government of Kenya should implement a progressive scale-up of UCB targeting those children who are currently receiving CSSP first to achieve maximum impact. For the government of Kenya to continue expanding social protection coverage that is child-sensitive, it is very, very essential to determine the most effective pathways to close the coverage gaps, calculate the investments period, as well investment requirements that also extended the coverage, and understand the availability of physical space and the best potential financing strategies that Kenya can and should pursue. It is with this in mind that Save the Children, in collaboration with the State's Department of Social Protection, undertook a physical space analysis aimed at ascertaining how much it would cost to scale up UCB and explore potential financing strategies that could utilize to ensure a scale-up goes ahead. The analysis also sought to model financing strategies that could be used to generate additional resources required to finance a scale-up, as well as to propose key financing strategy that could be modeled to assess the extent of additional resources that could be generated, as you have all listened to and also look at the presentation and the explanations of the financing strategies that have been recommended as part of the studies just before we head into this session. The analysis also reiterates the potential of Kenya to implement progressively scale-up UCB program. It also lays out several strategies that can be employed by the government and also partners collectively to really finance UCB as a child-sensitive social protection mechanism. And these includes also the enhancement of domestic, of course, revenue mobilizations as part of one of the most important mechanisms that we really encourage the government of Kenya and also all partners to uptake, to help financing the CSSBP and also the UCB programs, including reforms to also broaden the tax base and improve compliance, to also strengthening partnerships with development partners, and to secure predictable official development assistance, or as we know as ODA, even though the situation right now may seem a bit challenging, but it's something that we still would like the government of Kenya and also all partners to consider. And also lastly, to pursue the innovative financing mechanisms that can prevent and present an alternative pathway to funding social protection as a model that can actually bring in the private sectors and also different stakeholders to really come in and support social protection mechanisms for Kenya and the children of Kenya. Investing in children today would definitely yield long-term economic and social benefits far longer than just today. The findings of this report also gives us an opportunity to deeper diving and also explore the viability of options to generate revenue to finance extensions of the universal social protection for children in Kenya. The launch of the report is a call for all of us to really take bold and transformative steps that will have lasting impact to the lives of children in the immediate future and the positive trajectory of the country in the long term. As Save the Children, we really look forward to our continued collaboration with the government through the State Department of Social Protection in widely disseminating the findings of this report, and also humbly request for the support in advocating for the implementation of the strategies that will benefit the Kenyan children. We would like to thank you once again for being here today, for all the support and collaboration that contribute to us to be in this place in today's time. We truly appreciate the fruitful deliberations that we have had just now, and also all the strong collaboration and partnership. We could not have had this launch today without everyone's hard work, contribution, and dedication toward the universal child benefit and also the Fiscal Space Analysis report. And we appreciate all the hard work that each and every one of you have been putting in. We look forward very much sincerely for a longer journey for us to really scale up the UCB in a more sustainable and systematic way for all the children in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is good now. Thailand is a beautiful land, isn't it? If you're not aware. And the best way on beautiful lands, you find beautiful flowers. And those flowers are beautiful because the mountains usually attract and the rains are always there. So we will give manyunyu. They are showers. Manyunyu here is called showers. So the showers usually shower the flowers. And then now you can see the beautiful Thailand. So it will begin like this. I'm doing the pilot, please. Don't be left behind. Don't beat your phone. Beat your... Tell your neighbor it is here. It is the palm, not the phone. Tell Nani either it is the phone. Okay, let's do the second one. Let it get louder. More richer for the flowers. Okay, let it get like thunder. Okay, so thank you so much, Madam, for your remarks. At this juncture, allow me to acknowledge that we had our colleague from the National Treasury, Madam Mukami. She has indicated that she had to go for an urgent meeting, and that is why she is not with us. I would want to welcome Madam Naomi from the COG, the Council of Governors, to give her remarks, even as we near welcoming our guest for the day, the representative of our guest. Karibu sana. Do you welcome her with something?
All protocols observed. Good morning. My name is Naomi Waho. I'm from the Council of Governors. First and foremost is to applaud and appreciate the State Department for Social Protection for the amazing work they've done with this project. We can all attest that it's an amazing project for the good of our children of Kenya. This initiative marks a significant step towards securing the well-being of our most vulnerable children, particularly in the counties that have been presented to us this morning, that the poverty rates are extremely high. This program will ensure that the vulnerable children receive the support they need. And as we say in social protection, let's leave no one behind, including our children. As we begin to scale up in the 8 counties with the highest poverty rates, let us not forget that this is not confined to only those 8 counties. Let us purpose to ensure that we roll out this program to the country to ensure that no child is left behind. And for successful implementation of this program, I urge that we involve both levels of the government, both the county and the national government. They must work in close collaboration in the spirit of Article 189 of the Constitution of Kenya, which provides for cooperation and collaboration between both levels of the government. This will ensure that we have efficient delivery of the services and the benefits, and it will enhance the impact of the program and create a more sustainable model for social protection for the children. As we also explore the financing options, it is important to ensure that we have financial sustainability as we implement the program within the country with a view to enhance effectiveness and let us also be alive to the local needs and the local needs of the county governments. Additionally, we must prioritize documenting the good practices that have and the lessons learned throughout the implementation process. We have 3 counties that already benefited from this. So if we have best practices documented, we will be able to learn, and it will create a basis for us to learn and identify the gaps that we have for the better implementation of the program. In addition to that, we ought to have rigorous monitoring and evaluation, which will be key in tracking the progress, identifying the gaps, and ensuring that we have accountability in service delivery. As the Council of Governors, we remain committed to supporting this initiative and ensuring that step by step, we move towards a future where no child in Kenya is left behind. And I call upon all of us with coordinated efforts, commitment, and continuous learning to make this vision a reality. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much from the Council of Governors. We want to appreciate her in a better way. When I say you clap once, you clap twice. Eh? When I say 1, Papa, 2, there are 3 now. Okay, let's do a pilot, like we did for the UCB in Kajiado, Kisumu, and Embu. So when I say 1, you clap. When I say 2, you clap 3 times. We leave it at that point, isn't it? Okay. Okay. Be ready with your hand. Be ready. Remove the phone from your hand. Only have your hand and the other one. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, you are good students. I give you something in advance. So, at this point, already you can hear the sentiments, very, very powerful remarks on the journey traveled. It is my pleasure now to invite Madam Jane, who will also double in the position of our chief guest today. And I think we'll do it just like you would have done it for the chief guest, isn't it? No, why are you not agreeing with me? She deserves, isn't it? By the way, when somebody said, list haijatoka, si ndio? You never know. Appreciate Madam Vizuri. You never know. You know things. Okay, let's appreciate Madam as she comes over. Thank you so much. Our director, Madam Jane, welcome, please.
Good morning, everyone. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you very much to each and every one of us for being here. As you've been told, my name's Jane Muyanga Kitili. I'm the Director, National Social Protection Secretariat. coordinating the social protection sector in the country. I stand here on behalf of my PS, Mr. Motari, Joseph Motari, who is engaged in another assignment. And before I read this speech, because protocol demands if I read this speech, I don't add anything. Before I get to that, I really want to take this opportunity to appreciate our partners from the UN, my colleague from the Safe Children, JIB. That other name sounds like a password. So you will allow the Kenyans to go with the easy name. My colleagues from COG, the civil society, and my fellow colleagues from government, we really want to appreciate your presence and having taken your time to be here with us. When you're talking about children, apparently in most cases, we say they get forgotten. But our clarion call is leave no one behind. And we would not want the children to be left behind. I believe all of us are where we are because somebody made it their business to walk the journey with us. And it is important that we start walking the journey with our children and make them part and parcel of any development conversation. I get a bit frustrated when we are talking of public participation. But how many of us, including our COG, how often do we even bring children to participate in our budgeting processes? I know we have the devolution conference, we have the children's conference. Same to the national government, we have the Kenya Children Assembly. The participation is not as we would want to see it. And we would want to see what is it that we need to do more for children to be able to make this country a better place. And as we talk of UCB, the Universal Child Benefit, my colleague from Ministry of Health will tell you the first 1,000 days of any human being are very important. How well are we passing that information to the rest of us as Kenyans? How often do we have a conversation on the impact of childhood nutrition on the general growth and development of our children? I think it's high time we started having a serious conversation in terms of what some of the policies and programs that we have and how they affect our children, and especially in those first 1,000 days. You can see for UCB, we went for 36 months because we realized 1,000 days just takes these children to 2 months. And some of them have not finished their growth monitoring. Expanding it to 36 months, I think that makes a lot of impact. But I believe we still have a lot to do when it comes to what we need to do for our children. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to read the remarks of the Principal Secretary, State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizen Affairs, during the launch of the Fiscal Space Analysis report for child-sensitive social protection in Kenya. Representatives of our development partners, members of the civil society, various media houses present, government officers and representatives present, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let me take this earliest opportunity to welcome and appreciate each and every one of you for taking time and joining us on this great milestone and exploration of the best opportunity for realizing inclusive social protection and safeguarding of our children's future in our country. This important exercise provides valuable insights into how we can sustainably fund and scale a program that has potential to transform the lives of our children across the nation and address the multiple vulnerabilities that our children face that hinder their development and human capital. Allow me in this advance to also extend my sincere gratitude to our development partners and stakeholders who have been very supportive in diverse ways in advancing and championing for the need of a more inclusive, child-sensitive social protection initiatives. Special thanks to Save the Children International for supporting this very important piece of work that we are launching today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that each and every one of us seated here today is aware of the multiple challenges and vulnerabilities facing our children in this country. Children have various developmental indices that are affected. For example, 52% of our children are multidimensionally poor, 42% monetary poor, 36.2% are food poor, and 26% of children under 5 are stunted. The fact of the matter is that beyond income, many children face multiple deprivation, such as limited access to safe water, health care, and learning opportunities. These statistics serve as a clarion call to all of us, and as child-sensitive social protection practitioners, to ensure a decisive action for ensuring protection and thrift for all our children. A well-funded UCB can be a powerful solution for tackling these vulnerabilities by ensuring consistent and predictable support to families in need and children at most risk of being left behind. Universality in social protection will be a good way forward. Even as we look into this crucial report, which examines the viable options for financing a UCB for the country, it is important to point out and indicate the valuable evidence on the impact of such initiative as was harvested from the recently concluded UCB pilot that was undertaken in the country. The pilot was undertaken in 3 selected counties of Kajiado, Embu, and Kisumu, targeting 8,300 with regular monthly stipend of 800 shillings per child per month for a period of 12 months. This was accompanied by complementary health and nutrition services, and in addition to disability inclusion interventions. The pilot revealed the following. 1, reduced financial strain on families, allowing them to focus on essential needs like food, healthcare, and education. Notable improvement in child health indicators, such as families utilized their cash transfers to address nutritional deficits, greater school attendance and early childhood development outcomes as caregivers were better positioned to support their children's educational needs, improved focus on parenting and disability inclusion were great. And I think for those of us who saw the video on that lady who had a disabled child, I believe this is something we need to give special consideration, especially when it comes to sending out messages on social protection. These results indicate that scaling up universal child benefit can yield substantial returns on our investment in the most vulnerable members of our society. Distinguished guests and fellow social protection champions, it is obvious to us all here that despite these valuable outcomes, notable coverage gaps in child-sensitive social protection still remain, since only 11% of children in need of social protection are able to access any form of social protection. You are talking of 11% in a country whose population of children is more than 50%. So you can see that gap is still quite something we need to work on. This means that many eligible children, particularly those in remote or marginalized communities, are yet to benefit from any form of social protection intervention. This coverage gap not only undermines the principle of universality, but also risks perpetuating intergenerational cycle of poverty, inequality, and exclusion if not addressed systematically. This forms a strong basis for a UCB in the country. My fellow colleagues, the Fiscal Space Analysis report we are launching today illuminates possible revenue streams and cost-saving measures that the country needs to adopt or to consider in order to sustainably finance UCB. It encourages evidence-based informed policy making, coordination among government institutions, development partners, and other stakeholders. The recommendations contained in these reports outline the best pathways for realizing a full-scale UCB in the long term and the mechanisms for safeguarding it against economic shocks and ensuring longevity and enhancing its impact. Let me appeal to all of us to rally behind these bold recommendations, join our hands together and put one another in protecting and support one another in protecting the lives and dignity of our children for a more productive and prosperous nation. Let us ensure that no child is left behind or denied an opportunity to realize his or full potential in life. In conclusion, therefore, let me reiterate the value of investing in our children as a guarantee for a prosperous future for our country and one of the critical ingredients to realizing our developmental goals and ambitions of inclusive growth and development. This is the viable pathway for promoting and developing human capital necessary for achieving our sustainable and industrial aspiration. Finally, let me remind us of this powerful quote by Nelson Mandela. A society's true reflection is judged by how it treats its most vulnerable, the children. May God bless you, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, on behalf of the chief guest, first of all, I want to request us, just as we are seated, to give what we call a parliamentary clap. Can somebody do a pilot? Parliamentary clap. Inaendanga aje? Madam, I think you should always see me after this. So let us do the parliamentary clap. Yes, everyone, let us go. No, you are, there's no exclusion. Okay, 1, 2, 3, let us go. Okay, let us go. The third one, ile ya juu. Another one, Malaysia. Thank you so much. We really appreciate those very strong sentiments from our peers, and that shows the commitment that the government has on ensuring that we support and we see the future and prosperity of our children, which are the future of our nation. So from this point, we want to proceed to the launching of the report. You can turn to your neighbor and just say, cheer up, we are almost coming to the end. You know, some people are very sad. You cannot approach a launch with a grin, surely. It's not fair. You are very serious until you want to approach the launch very seriously with a frown. No, we must approach the launch with a smile, isn't it? So that we are happy about it, we are happy about the piece of work, and it's not just a piece of work, as you've heard, this is the pathway that we want to follow, and you can see that is how we want to sustain the work even as we go. So it is my pleasure now, I want to welcome Madam Jane, who is going to be on behalf of our peers and also our country rep, our partners, the representative, Madam Winnie, Madam Mary, and a colleague from the COG, they'll be rallying together with Madam here to launch the report. As I say that, they'll be standing. Cindy? Yeah. In fact, all of us should stand so that you are not lost for what then should I remain doing while sitting? Okay. Oh, they don't block the camera. Okay, very good guidance. That is, you are saved from that. The camera, the rest of you will sit so that you don't block the camera. I know Madam Jane will be leading us in that. This is what we are going to do. Tell your neighbor, this is what we are going to do. You know, I'm practicing to be a teacher. When we will we'll count, we do a count of 1 to 10 on the reverse. 1 to 10 on the reverse, which means you begin with the 10, isn't it? So when we hit 0, then things happen. You know what things will happen, we are yet to discover. Are we together? Are we together up to that point? Yes. Okay. So, we will do a count of 10, 9, 8, 7, up to 0. Then when we reach 0, then we launch. Sawa sawa? So when, some of these things, when I say UCB, and we remember we said you can also say USB, but we know we mean UCB. When I say UCB, you say, Stawisha mtoto wa Kenya. Bas, I like people who sit in front. Let me test with the people at the back. Okay, the people at the back. When I say UCB, you say what? Ah, very good. Now, this desk that usually remains behind. When I say UCB, we don't want to leave you behind. When I say UCB, what do you say? Very good. Very good. Very, very good. And so, we are going to count from 10 up to 0. Not 1. We stop at, when we stop at 1, the next digit is automatically no count. So, are you ready? Can you wave to me like this to confirm you are ready? And we are counting together. Okay, get ready. Let's go. There is no clapping, vigelegele, you know.
Champions, stand up.
UCB.
Stand up.
UCB.
For the champions.
UCB.
For the champions, stand up. For the champions. For the champions, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. For the champions.
Let us clap together.
Stand up. Here we go, it's getting close. Now it's just who wants it most. It's just life, that's how it is. 'Cause we have our strengths and weaknesses. Oh, I have vision.
So, let me give Madam Director kama kuna jambo anataka kusema. You know, they want to say something.
Thank you very much, Richard. I think from where I sit as a social protection practitioner, this is a milestone for the country. And looking at this in terms of fiscal analysis, I'm sure there are very few sectors that have done this. And I'm happy that Treasury was involved in it. And we are hoping that we should be able to make some headways in terms of child-sensitive social protection, in terms of how do we want it funded. We've given them the options. So it's an issue of us having a discussion to see which of those options are viable for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Country Director. Do you want to say something?
Oh, thank you so much, Madam Jane. And thank you so much again, everyone, for being here, and thank you for honoring us in this and with your presence. Save the Children is very honored to be part of this powerful partnership with the Madame Jane and her team, as well as all development partners, UNICEF, WFP, FAO, all of the Treasury colleagues. We believe that this is just a start. And we believe that there's so much more that we can do together to really scale up the UCB nationwide, and so many more that we can do for the children of Kenya, and we can't do it without you. So collective efforts, and for us to be part of that, we are very honored. Thank you.
Let us appreciate together. Appreciate together. Thank you so much. We want to proceed to a photo session. So allow me to proceed to the photo session. We'd want to, first of all, allow the director herself to be able to take her photo. Where is the best place? You can tell us. You will wait first. Let her take a loan first, then I welcome you. Yeah, just make sure that she is well positioned. Yeah. And we smile and we do something that I've not said. Let us smile. Let us appreciate. Then now you can join. UCB. Okay, then we can have our partners join. You can have our partners join. UCB. Very good. Now, we can have our other colleagues from Save the Children, please. There is a big team from Save the Children. Anybody from Save the Children who would want to join? Quickly, this is quick. Okay, ngoja kwanza nione vile wanafanya. Ngoja nione kwanza. Save the Children team, ngoja kwanza. Just pull a little bit so that then they do something, then we join after that. Okay, another chance. Okay, so let's have the rest of the Save the Children team join them. Msitoke, wa join. Yeah, you can have your books. Mwenye ana asiogope, usikonde. Usikonde, hata mimi. Okay, the rest of the photos you can allow me to take after this so that we can release our colleagues who are rushing for another function. I know we can still have a broader session. But for now, allow me to just bring us towards a close where I would want to request that we get a chance for thanks, vote of thanks. You can see Sandra is here to give a vote of thanks. So kindly Let me welcome Sandra, and then we'll be getting ready for a word of prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Obiga, although in reality you have been thanking everybody constantly. So you have made my work easier. But on behalf of Save the Children, we are really, really thankful and grateful, first of all, for each and every person in the room today, for making time to come, both across from civil society and government. But of course, the beauty about everything is that we are not new faces to each other because we have been working on social protection, the cause, for a long time. But you've joined us in the cause for making it more child sensitive. And so really grateful for everybody in the room who is here, and we are really appreciative about that. A lot has been said about the implementation of the UCB project, which was sort of the brainchild of this report. The journey started with us implementing UCB, and so I really want to especially start by thanking our county representatives from here, Embu, Kajiado, Kisumu. And this is not the first convening we have had. There have been many, and our county partners and our county governments have been so willing and have always been at each and every convening, including talking about the successes of the UCB. So we are really grateful about that, and we are, you are so instrumental in the success that it was, and even in the upscale that it will be. Of course, as we were concluding UCB, as has been said here, a lot was about, okay, so it's a good model, it's child sensitive, universality, we've had all the attributes, how do we scale it up? And so it became imperative for us to do this report. We are really grateful to the Genesis Analytics for having the expertise and having a very robust methodology towards coming up with the report that is here today. As you've seen, they've done it for many other countries. So we're really able to benefit from their knowledge and expertise on this, and so we are also very grateful for that technical expertise. We're grateful to all our partners here from the civil society with whom we work on social protection. As I said, they are on the cause, and they've always also been very willing and are very key and instrumental in what the UCB scale-up will be. And may we continue the journey. May we continue the journey together. But special mention, of course, goes to our collaboration with our government partners who are here today from the DCS, the Directorate of Children's Services. Our mandate is bigger, of course, than social protection with them. And they are our partners and our collaborators, the Council of Governors, who we have begun very good conversations on issues of children, including on UCB. We actually began a good conversation on UCB, so thank you for coming and assuring us it will continue. Of course, from Treasury, no conversation about money with Treasury. So good that they were here and create an entry point for that. The Directorate of Social Assistance and the Ministry of Health, with whom we also have other programming. But last and definitely not least, a special mention, of course, to the State Department for Social Protection. Madam Jacinta, Madam Jane, Mr. Obiga have been collaborators and friends of Save the Children on this issue of UCB and the Fiscal Space Analysis. So we really want to recognize your partnership and your collaboration and your friendship on this, and to really, at each and every convening, I think, Mr. Obiga, you can as well be seconded to Save the the children to implement with us UCB and and advocate for its scale up. And so it is not a goodbye, even as we wrap up on the pilot and everything. This launch gives us the opportunity to begin again. And as has been heard here, it will need aggressive advocacy. So we are still together, partnering together. So in the interest of time, allow me to end it there. But thank you very much to each and every one of you. Please receive our gratitude from Save the Children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Without so much ado, we'd want to wind up with a word of prayer. I've said we'll still do some photo session here, especially with our teams from the county. I would really request that we join together and do. So we want to wind up with a word of prayer. I'm looking at somebody who is smiling generously at me so that I can be able to at least offer this opportunity to you. Okay, people have now refused to smile, so it means they want me to offer myself. No, I'll offer my colleague, Mary. Mary, just allow me to offer you for a closing word of prayer. Yes, you, yes, yes. I know Ruth is really looking for that opportunity, but next time I promise you I'll give it to you. But today,
let us pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear Father, we want to thank you this afternoon. We want to thank you for the milestone that we have made in this country as we think about the future of our children. Thank you, Lord, for the government of Kenya, for the investments that they are making for the most vulnerable people in this country. We want to thank you, Lord, even for the resources that have been set aside to help our elderly people, persons with disability, orphans and vulnerable children. And today, as we all work towards the Universal Child Benefit Program, we thank you for the findings that have been made. Thank you even for the report that we are all sharing today, that now, as a country, we have evidence that we can use as an advocacy tool to champion for our vulnerable children. For Kenya, our children are our future, and God, we commit them to you. Without the children, the country has no future. But together, we are saying in one voice that we want to come together as a country so that we can uplift the lives of our children without leaving them behind. Lord Jesus, this is just a commitment that we are making as human beings, but we know with you all things are possible. We now commit our plans, the proposed strategies, and the ideas for financing universal child benefit programs in this country. Lord Jesus, as a country, we believe in you, and we are trusting you moving forward. Bless everyone present here today, all agencies and partners working together on this mission. As a country, we commit our children. Father, this is our prayer, for we pray, trusting and believing in Jesus Christ, your Son. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
thank you so much. So we are now free to engage in other non-directed activities from our end, but I would want to request that we have now a photo session. I would request our county team, the county nutritionists, and also our county coordinators, please allow me to kindly welcome you, that we may take a photo session together, even because of the tremendous support and the work that you've given to this. Kujeni tu kwa upesi kabla watu wa kamera wajaponyoka. Yes. Huh? Oh, we can start with Embu. Embu is hot here. Yes. Embu team, let's come. Madam Director, if you can afford, I wish you could afford. Even Country Director, Save the Children, 1 minute. Okay. Yeah. Mujipange hapo, Embu team, very quickly, just bring it together. Okay. Then which other? Kajiado team should be ready. Yes.
Akusumbui kila mara,
Kajiado team, get ready.
Vizuri juu mawazo yako iko stressed juu unaona sasa mara mtoto achezi na watoto wengine, unasikia ukiwa na stress. Lakini kama mtoto ako na afya bora, unasikia tu uko sawa, unafurahia wewe mwenyewe.
In Embu County, there are challenges of food security, also challenges of malnutrition in terms of diet diversity. people are not able to get enough.